You're thinking about moving to a small mountain town from your big city, but in the back of your mind, you're thinking, I love the idea of moving to a small mountain town, but I do not like the idea of losing my big city conveniences. Today in this video, we are going to cover the top 5 questions we get when we relocate people from the big city to our small town. I used to be one of those big city people moving to a small town, and I had the same exact questions, and I can't wait to answer them for you. Hey everybody, this is Claudine Phillips. If this is your first time here at our channel, welcome. And if you'd like to know more about what it's like to eat, sleep, play, work from Evergreen or the surrounding areas, make sure you hit that subscribe button. And if you want to be the first to be notified of our videos, make sure you hit that little bell. Okay, so let's get to the top 5 questions that we get when we relocate people from a big city to a small mountain town. Now remember, I used to be one of those people. When we decided to move from Dallas, Texas to Evergreen, Colorado, I literally sat next to Shad in the car and looked at him and said, do we have a grocery store here? Are there schools here? Are there other people that are like me living here? Like, what are we doing? We knew we wanted to relocate our family to a smaller community. We knew that we wanted to raise them in the mountains, but we didn't know what else was there. So in this video, we're going to start with question number 1, which is the most frequently asked question that we get. Can I shop in this town? Now, if you come from a big city, you're used to having a Target on a corner or quickly run to the mall or have the specialty stores that you could go to, especially in Dallas. It was at my fingertips of whatever I wanted, it was right there. So when we relocated here, I actually quickly found out that there is so much more value in shopping local than it was shopping at big box stores. Now, there are things that you need to get from big box stores all the time, right? But I actually shifted the way I shopped. I actually shopped less frequently, and I found more value in being outdoors and enjoying my scenery, being with my kids outside, than going to the mall or going to Target as our activity. But back to the local stores, I actually know the names of the owners of the stores that I shop in. There is a great downtown Main Street that has an amazing group of retailers that sell clothing, food, you name it, it's all there. And then if I really needed something that my small town doesn't have, there's Amazon, and it comes in 2 days. So yes, there's shopping. And actually, there are people like you and me that want cute clothes, that want current home goods. There are stores all the way from 70 down into Main Street in Evergreen, and then all the way up into Conifer, down into Kittredge. There's just so many store options. So yes, there is shopping. I feel like there's more meaningful shopping going on here, and I love the shift that I've had since I've moved here from my big city to my small mountain town. All right, question number 2, and this is probably the second most asked question I get. What is my social life going to be like? Am I going to meet anybody when I move here, or is everybody holed up in their little cabins? I truly thought that when I moved here, and maybe you're thinking that too. So social life runs a little different here. When our kids started going to school in their elementary years, I noticed that women would drop their kids off and go skiing for the day. And I was like, what? Like when I was from Dallas, right? We would have to plan a week-long trip to go skiing. No, women run up, dads run up for the day and go skiing. And so that's their social life. The town somewhat shuts down around 6 or 7, to be honest with you. I think there's kind of a tradition in that, because when it's cold and wintry and the mountain streets are kind of windy and they're not really lit up, people like to just stay home once it gets dark, which is totally understandable. So that's kind of the shift I'm talking about, in the sense that if I'm going to have a coffee date, I just show up at one of my local coffee shops and meet with my friends there during the day, or in the morning before work, whatever I need to, it's there. Now, when I lived in Dallas, we would meet at Chick-fil-A and the kids would play and we would hang out. We can still do that, but it's different here. You can go snowshoeing with your kiddos and a friend. You can go walk around the lake. You can go grab a coffee and hit a local park. There's so many parks here that are adorable and wonderful that are on a creek. I mean, come on. It's just like paradise. So you just have to learn how to shift the way you socialize. There's also a bunch of moms groups and men's groups. If you go to our local Facebook page, you can see that people interact all the time. There's local mamas pages. There's a page for any interest that you could possibly be interested in Evergreen. Okay, question number 3. What are the schools like? Am I going to have to sacrifice my children's education to live in a small town? Absolutely not. All of the schools here in Evergreen and the surrounding areas are top ranked in the state of Colorado. And I think the benefit of bringing a child to a small town school is that there's more personal attention. You tend to know your teachers, if not before your kids ever saw them, but you get to know them personally. They're probably going to your church, or you see them at the grocery store. You do life with them. You actually know the teachers at your children's schools, and you probably will do life with them. If you don't know them, then your friends know them. Your friends also are looking out for your kids as well. So to me, community is key for a thriving family, and this is exactly what we had hoped for when we moved here, was to put our kids in schools where they were known and seen and taken care of, and that is exactly what we're getting here in Evergreen. Question number 4, culture. Where's the culture? Okay. When we moved here, we were used to going to big museums and plays and shows. We were used to big bands coming into Dallas and going to see these great concerts. Let me just tell you, it is no different, except that our drive might be a tiny bit longer than when we lived in a suburb of Dallas actually and went to Dallas for concerts or what have you, or museums. So locally, there's a ton of culture. We are saturated with artists of all shapes and forms. We have bands that actually, small bands that come through and perform at Little Bear. So we actually have the music culture locally. There's open night mic downtown Evergreen. And there's also artists that have installations all through town of their art, and it changes out every June. And it's just so fun to see what art is coming through. We have local art fairs. There's art shops all up and down Main Street. We are not lacking culture at all. But if you are thirsty for big city culture, we're 30 minutes away from Denver. That's it, 30 minutes. So if you wanted to go see the Museum of Natural History, you can go there. If you wanted to go to the Arboretum, it's there. So we get the benefit of Denver culture living in a suburb of Evergreen because we're only 30 minutes away. So we have the best of both worlds. We can live in a small mountain town and enjoy the local art, or we can go into the big city and enjoy big city art. Okay, last one, number 5. And actually, this is one that I end up having conversations with my buyers later on because they're kind of ashamed of this question. This question is, I fear of missing out of what I used to have in a big city. FOMO, anybody? I have to say, I had this for probably a year before I realized I had it. I would get on Facebook and I would see all my old friends in the big city, and I would see them having perceivably the time of their life living in this big city. And really, I was having the time of my life in my small mountain town. I mean, honestly, you guys, why do we move to a small mountain town? So that we can experience living in a small mountain town with the great outdoors. So all the things that we did back in our city were mainly indoors. We had to pay to go bowling. We had to go pay to go mountain or rock climbing. We had to pay to go out to eat. We went to the mall and ended up spending money. And so we really wanted to shift that around And so when we went to our small mountain town of Evergreen, we realized that we're just going to go hike in our backyard. There's a creek down there. Let's go pillage in there. Like, you name it, we got to do it. And it was outside and it was free. And we weren't inside in air conditioning anymore. We were outside in the beautiful mountain air. So that perspective needed to shift for me, and maybe it needs to shift for you perhaps, because we think what we're leaving behind is something better than what we're headed towards. And what we were headed towards years ago, we had no idea the bounty that we were about to receive. Honestly, it is truly what we had imagined, if not more. The other day I was on a ski lift and I was just sitting there with my son. I took the day off and we went up on a Wednesday, and he's 14, and I was just sitting there and it was lightly snowing and the sun was shining, and I was breathing the air, and I was like, this is it. I love it here. And this is years and years later. And that moment for me, though, I've had so many times before. So you guys, you're not going to miss out living here. We do not regret one single ounce of our move from our big city to our small town. We have plenty of shopping. We have a great group of friends in our life. We have a bounty of opportunities to go out and experience with our family. The schools are great. You guys, we have it all in this small town. And if this is something that you are looking to do, is to make that jump from a big city to a small town, now is the time. Shoot us a text, send us an email, give us a call. We are here to answer any of the questions that you have beyond these 5. We'd love to connect with you. We have your back in relocating from your big city to Evergreen, Colorado.